Squatting every day. Is it too much? Or is it actually a secret to putting on bounds of strength and muscle to the lower body? In previous videos, you guys ripped on me for having a weak squat. Let's see if I could change that by squatting every single day for an entire week. This is what happened. But you gotta focus.
Overhead squat, Zercher squat, dumbbell squat.
Even though I was pretty confident I already knew how to squat, I thought it would be a good idea to brush up on the technique because of the amount of squatting I was about to do.
Dude, Omar hasn't aged a day. This video is from 7 years ago. It's the secret, bro.
And then, yes, shaving my legs to reveal any definition or lack thereof. Taking some before visuals and measurements, and then I was ready to begin squatting every single day.
So I'm gonna start with just some warm-up sets, try to get in the motion, look in the mirror, see if I'm doing anything out of the ordinary, like severe butt winking or falling off track or anything like that. Try to fix that up and then start warming up with the bar and then start loading weights on and get this experiment rolling. Hopefully we don't get too sore.
After a brief warm-up loading on some light weight, trying to recall all of the squat form refreshers that I just watched so that as I progress throughout this week, I would be doing so with good form to avoid injury and build upon a good technique. I realized one of my biggest problems from before was actually at the bottom of my squat. I would tend to lean forward, almost like let my chest fall forward. Then on the way up, first my legs would lift, then my back would come up. And I think this was causing me to have some back pain when doing the squat. Because upon fixing this and keeping my back generally in the same position throughout the entire squat, I felt no back pain throughout this session. However, it was a lot more difficult to squat heavier weights, and I actually wasn't able to go up as much weight this first session or do as many reps as I was planning, but it felt like my legs were working more than ever, and I think that was a good sign.
So I'm at 185 now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to go for 10 reps because I know that previously, within the last couple of months, has been my RPE of about 8. So if I can do that for 10, that's gonna put me right where I thought I was. Hopefully by the end of this experiment, we're pushing like 205, 225 for the same amount. That would be insane in only 7 days.
So I had big dreams, but I wasn't off to a good start because upon loading this up and taking this for a ride, I only got 9 reps and it felt like my form was starting to break. Would 6 more days of this in a row give my body no choice but to put on the strength required to lift more weight? Or would it be too much, overload my system, cause me to overtrain, or even worse, get injured? There was only one way to find out, and that was continue. So after my top set of 185 for 9, I backed off the reps but did 4 more sets of 185 for 5. Then 1 cooldown set and I was done for day 1.
Bring it in, boys. Whew, oh, the legs. So I'm actually gonna try to get protein in fairly soon after I'm done with these squatting workouts, regardless of what you think about the protein window and whether that matters or not. From what I've seen, a lot of these guys who are very strong at squats, they tend to, take their protein very seriously. So let's get that protein in.
So along with squatting every day, I would try to hit at least 1 gram per pound of body weight of protein every single day, which for me is around 190 grams of protein. And what a better way to start the protein intake with a post-workout meal. Now this was only day 1. How would I feel when I had to squat again less than 24 hours later on day 2?
Not that bad right now. Honestly, legs just feel 3 out of 10 soreness. Hopefully it stays that way.
So why even squat every day? Where did this idea originate from? Well, if you're into weightlifting, you may have heard of something called the Bulgarian method. This is essentially a training style by Bulgarian weightlifters where apparently every day, multiple times a day, they take their snatch, clean and jerk, and front squat to a maximum. In summary, the reason for this would be practice makes perfect and always being ready. Now obviously with such frequency and intensity could come a risk of overuse and acute injury, as well as overwhelming fatigue and regression. Now, unlike the Bulgarian method in its purest form, I was not maxing out every day. Rather, I was trying to utilize the principle of frequency with good form in order to improve my strength. But because I wasn't used to using such rigid form, I wasn't able to go up so high in weights. But I figured this was more important, and on day 2 for my working sets, I ended up doing 10 sets of 5 reps with 150. And on day 3, back in the gym, starting with some arm isolations, of course, before warming up for squats. Now surprisingly, on day 3, I was just as sore as I was on day 2, about a 3 out of 10. But surprisingly to me, I actually felt stronger. Not only in the legs, but like in the central nervous system. It felt like I wanted to push heavier weights, but was still trying to keep my form really good. I worked up to 5 working sets of triples with 205.
So my legs are still not that sore, which I am like super surprised about. Usually if I do a leg day to any of the intensities I've done so far, 48 to 72 hours later, I would be excruciatingly sore. They just feel a little fatigued and very tight. I don't know if they're looking any different. Like right here, it's like ding, ding, ding. It's like hard as a rock. Oh, and other than that, something kind of bad that's going on right now. This ankle right here, if I bend forward too much, like yeah, that actually kind of hurts like right here in the meat of it. Then again, I actually injured this ankle when I was 18, so maybe it's actually like an old sprain injury, just kind of like acting up with inflammation. Yeah, other than that, hopefully that doesn't get in the way because we've got to squat today. So I know this might look a little pseudo, but I swear by this thing. Look up photobiomodulation if you're curious, i.e. red light therapy, and its effects on muscle recovery and just injury recovery in general. Just using this right now on the ankle, 5 minutes, then I'll do 5 minutes on the back, and then probably in about 30 minutes, the squat session.
So thankfully my ankle felt around 80% better following the red light therapy. Now as you can see, my ankles really don't lack flexibility, which allows me to warm up in the deep squat position with ease. However, if you haven't noticed, I have been doing my squat work only going to around parallel, and the reason I decided to do this wasn't because I couldn't go deep, but is because I could not maintain tightness throughout the entire range. Let me explain.
A problem that I was having was I'm like, oh bro, I can squat so deep, you know, because my ankles are so flexible, but I was losing that tightness. So I would go like this, and then I could just relax. I've lost like that tightness in my lower back. It's kind of rounded now. My glutes are not tight. And then like when I kick back up into it, like I do that lean forward thing also. And then I like lift up with my hamstrings and a lot of that tension goes on my lower back. But what I've been doing now is just going to that point before I lose that tightness, keeping everything activated and then going up. Even if it's just slightly to parallel or maybe heck even now a little bit below parallel. But that's where I'm gonna continue to work and not try to show off my depth.
So even though I have very good ankle mobility and could get as deep as possible, allowing myself to go as deep as possible was causing me to have lower back pain after squat sessions, which was not happening at all for these first 4 days. Now it isn't perfect, and as you can see, I'm kind of dipping forward still a little bit at the bottom, but in my opinion this was significantly improved still. And my biggest problem was more so the overwhelming fatigue accumulating after 4 days of squatting. And on day 5, the fatigue felt at an all-time high. I felt like it was significantly taking away from my other activities. For instance, doing an upper body calisthenics workout before my squat session felt very subpar when it came to my energy levels.
So I started today with an upper body workout, just doing day 18 of Bodyweight Beast 2.0. Aside from my legs feeling like kind of achy around the knee joints right now, I'm just kind of like overall fatigued, and that's even playing over into these upper body movements. Like I just didn't feel like I connected that well. Now aside from that, just referring to the legs, surprising to me, I'm actually like not the typical soreness I would expect after a leg workout. The overall like fatigue and soreness is more present when I'm like kind of like at a 90 degree like this. Like I can almost feel like an ache in this region right here. So now I'm gonna hop into squats because we're squatting every day. But today I think I'm gonna go 4 reps. Time for squats.
On day 5, due to the overwhelming fatigue throughout my entire body, I thought it was a smarter idea to go for lighter weight with higher reps, so that if something critical like my lower back gave out due to the fatigue, it wouldn't be so much weight on my back. But I would also be able to get good muscle stimulation with the high amount of reps. Now even with the lower weight on day 5, it was almost too much to bear. I was planning to do 10 sets of 10 with 95 pounds, but on the 4th set, all of a sudden, I was just done.
Oh, so fatigued.
Now being so drained, I decided to cut it here and then try to redo this workout the next day. And this actually ended up being a very good decision, as you'll see in a second.
Yo, so yesterday, on top of being like sore and stuff, I was like also kind of just like
agitated all day. But anyways, going to the gym and gonna squat. But first, this is a terrible idea. Oh boy. Oh, it feels kind of good. Oh. Okay, I'm done. Now off to the gym where I was going to take another swing at doing 95 for a 10 by 10. But upon squatting with 95 pounds, I actually felt extremely confident and I wanted to push more weight even for these high amount of reps, so I went up to 115. I know it's not much, but it's a significant improvement over the previous day, and I think cutting it early the previous day was actually a really good decision. In fact, on this 6th day, I felt a spontaneous boost in strength when it comes to my lower body. Out of nowhere, it felt like my glutes and lower back were more fortified, as well as my quads, knees, and ankles all felt just like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like steel. Okay, maybe that's a little too far, but overall very good. However, how would 100 reps with 115 with minimal rest time affect my final leg day the next day? So day 5 I was probably feeling the worst. Yesterday I felt a lot better, but I did a lot of volume yesterday and I'm really feeling it now. Luckily it is day 7 and we're about to take 2 days off. And I got a little surprise that's coming, you guys will see in a second. Great for relaxation and recovery. Oh, the cooling. Oh yeah. There's nobody here. And here's the surprise, folks, out at the beach. So yeah, we're back in Florida again for a 2-day trip. I'm letting these wheels recover out here in the sun, getting a nice tan on them. Yo, I feel like I'm actually filling out these shorts a lot more than I was the first time, wouldn't you say?
I would say.
So either my legs got bigger or I just got fatter, but could be both. We're with family too, so I'm not even sore, by the way. Yeah, all right. So after 2 days of solid recovery and a tan, did squatting every day yield me to put on heaps and bounds of strength and size to my lower body? Let's find out. After taking some visuals and some measurements, which I'll compare later, I then got warmed up to test where my strength was at after 1 week of squatting every day. And after the 2 days of rest, something I noticed while warming up was how rigid I felt. It seemed like the motions were going a lot smoother and I was tracking along that perfect form line a lot more unintentionally than before. Loading all the way up to 185 where I got 9 reps in the beginning at about an RPE of 8, the weight initially felt lighter coming off the rack, but towards reps 7, 8, and 9, I started to sense my knees feeling very creaky. So with about 5 more in the tank around rep 10, I racked the weights. And rather than going up in weight, which I was planning to do, I decided to call it a day. I was planning on going up to like 225 to see where that felt at, but I gotta be real, guys, I think I'm actually gonna cut this off because my knees kind of feel like very sore. They don't actually feel injured, but they feel close. So yeah, I think the 7 days of training has like caught up to my joints. Even though I did take 2 days off, keep in mind that was traveling, which may not be the best for recovery. Although I thought I did feel recovered today regarding the muscles. Maybe I'm being too much of a safety person, but I don't know, I'm just trusting my gut here, and I feel like if I try to go up, I'm certain I could do it, but like the last thing I want is to injure my knee. The way I see it, I know it's still not that much weight, but compared to where I was before when it comes to form, rigidity in my core, and just the feeling of the tracking of the motion, I felt a lot more confident with that, with the reps at least. I also felt like I had more power pushing out of the hole. I think I did make some improvements. That's where we're at. What's up, Home Slice? So comparing the before and after, it doesn't look like I got any significant girth on either leg after 7 days of squatting every day. However, visually before and after, it really does look like to me that I put on some significant mass to the vastus medialis, that inner thigh muscle, part of the quadricep on the inside, that is the show-off muscle when it comes to wearing short shorts, which I think went super well for the beach. Could this whole experiment have been because of that beach trip? Yes. Okay, but also I did want to put on more strength to my lower body because I have been kind of called out for having a weak squat in the past, and you know, I would like to get better. So jumping into something more extreme like squatting every day, did I get stronger? Yes and no. So the good and the bad. So first of all, the good. What I think I really took away from this was kind of starting from scratch and working at my squats, focusing on very good form and trying to fix those little problems I was just chronically having when doing the squats. And a result from this, which I'm very happy with after doing this experiment, is the fact that I feel like my back does feel healthier, stronger, and more fortified, specifically the lower back, now than, well, in the last like 5 to 10 years, and I'm being serious. I really think only that week of training really made a difference when it comes to rigidity in my core and just getting that kind of back to a very good level. So now the downsides. So first of all, I'm actually gonna say when it comes to getting stronger, I did feel like I got stronger, but because of just like an overwhelming fatigue to my joints, specifically my knees in this case, I just didn't feel like my mind wanted to push heavier weights, even though I felt like I could. It's like an internal safety mechanism, like a gut feeling telling me, bro, just stop. Otherwise, you're gonna maybe hurt yourself. I think it might have been a little too frequent, not allowing my joints to catch up with my muscles, or maybe I just didn't train right. Maybe there's a better technique, a way to train this that would have avoided that, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it. I felt like I could have went a lot more muscle-wise, but knee-wise, just not feeling it. So yeah, the other downsides are pretty obvious. You know, this could absolutely get boring. Overtraining in other aspects, it could take away from other things, you know, squatting every day, obviously. Now, with that being said, there are people who are practicing squatting every day and they are just thriving on it, and that's a huge thumbs up to them. Everybody's different at the end of the day. But when it comes to me, what I actually think would be more optimal would probably be doing more of a balanced training regimen. You know, it's like end of the day in all these experiments so far, we're kind of coming to the point where it's like balance is key. It's the thing we always kind of forget about. So we always want to go to one extreme or the other. What do you guys think about squatting every day? Let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and turn those notifications on. I hope you all have a great day. Peace. I will see you all in the next video.